kick doors down. They would get the family out of the house, explain to them what they were doing, and then go in and search. And I saw it honestly, that they would make an effort not to harm the property. Then there were other times. There was one occasion in particular where I would think I was with Charlie Company, and they were setting up a roadblock checkpoint in a part of town that was really kind of hinky. It was a part of town where there were still elements of Fedayeen known to be operating. And so Colonel Brooke decided he wanted to make a presence there. So they came in force, set up the roadblock. When shots were fired, there was a sniper shooting at the soldiers.
Cool, let's go.
All of a sudden, it kicked into full scale, we're going to find these guys.
What do you got?
The 101st Airborne of the Army are in house-to-house fighting in some areas. Let's go to Don Dare.
I was with the Charlie Company of the 2nd Battalion. When shots were fired, they immediately launched a house-to-house search to find the gunman. This is an increasingly difficult operation for them to go from house to house.
Clear that fucking building right there, okay?
It was not polite, and it was not gentle. It was, there's a killer out there, or killers trying to kill us, and we're going to find them. So doors got kicked down, cabinets were broken over looking for intelligence information, weapons, anything like that, and there was destruction. This was a war zone. We started to consider ourselves very lucky because we'd not lost anyone. There were minor scrapes and bruises and close calls, plenty of close calls, but we had not lost anyone. And then we, right before I was supposed to go on the air for Good Morning America, we got word that that there was a soldier with one of the other battalions, not our particular one, but one of the other battalions.
Yeah, we just got the report of what is believed to be the 101st killed in action. It was a soldier with the 1st Battalion of the 2nd Brigade. He was hit by mortar fire during a firefight near here. That's all the details I have. But as you pointed out, this is an increasingly dangerous area for the 101st as they continue the chokehold on the city of An-Najaf while elements of the Fedayeen fight to get out.
And it was a reaction that I found just fascinating on the part of the soldiers around me when the word spread. There was a steeling of the eye and a clenching of the jaw. There was not a shock. Everyone expected that. They expected to lose their guys. You know, that's what war is. There's no getting around it. But what it did was it kind of ratcheted up the resolve on this thing.
Keep.
There was one particular patrol I was out with where it was one single Humvee and 4 soldiers. And they brought out the concertina wire and they stretched it across the street and set up their areas of coverage for the Humvee. And then there was this guy, this Iraqi, who was coming towards the checkpoint.
Go away.
And he wouldn't stop. And they fired a warning shot. And he still wouldn't stop. And all of a sudden we thought, okay, this is getting into something. And then he finally backed off, backed away. Car came back up, kept kind of testing the resolve and moved away. And it was a very, very tense night that night. I remember I don't envy those guys on nighttime duty. You've got to feel like I'm a big target sitting out here.
As our guys would go through from town to town, clearing towns, trying to make them secure, one of the things they had to do was find all these weapons caches.
Almost every school we went to had arms being stored there. Mosques had arms being stored there. These caches of weapons were just incredible. So many missiles and landmines and rocket-propelled grenades.
Mortars, artillery shells, RPGs, ammunitions for Kalashnikovs, AK-47s. It's unfathomable how many weapons are out there. And the guys loaded them up and they carted them off to some site.
So we'd go and film them blowing it up. These gigantic explosions with lots of secondary pop-offs, as they call them.
The U.S. military says it's making progress neutralizing pockets of paramilitary Iraqi forces.
I remember the report on one particular technical institute caused somewhat of a stir because there were just so many of these mines being made there.
The Technical Institute of Kufa was empty of people when the 101st arrived, but inside they found what explosive experts believe are over 1,000 primitive but deadly landmines.
You step on it and boom.
And there was all of a sudden a real sinking feeling that, well, if they've made so many and they're here, how many more have been seeded all over the area?
I need you to call back to me once you reach that suspected minefield with an assessment.
So we became a little bit more diligent when it came to walking around, especially in the back areas. They decided finally that they were going to do an air assault. They brought in the big Chinook helicopters and the Blackhawks and loaded them up with soldiers. The flight over was pretty amazing because they stay very low to avoid any kind of anti-aircraft missiles that they could get a shot off, and they move very fast. And you're loaded in the back of one of these choppers with I don't know how many soldiers all crammed in there together with all their weapons, and it's very hot and dusty, and you are just hauling 15, 20 feet above the ground, it seemed like.
It was an airborne assault in the midday heat. 5 Blackhawk helicopters and 2 Chinooks carrying soldiers of the 101st flew 15 feet above the desert to avoid surface-to-air missiles. This was part of a strategic push north from Najaf to the outskirts of Karbala. The first obstacle they encountered upon entering the town was a minefield. They marked the explosives for later demolition by engineers.
We could see a Humvee in the distance with one of the big grenade launchers mounted on top, and he was firing right in front of him. Every couple seconds he'd fire a grenade, so you what he was doing was trying to clear a path out of the minefield.
But a Humvee like this one is believed to have hit one of the mines.
We don't know if it was a mine or what we struck, but we heard an explosion, hit my truck. Then I was still left in the vehicle. I staggered out, fell to the ground.
You had bullets firing, you had missiles exploding inside this vehicle. And this guy, Sergeant O'Shea, forgive me for mentioning your name, but Sergeant O'Shea was in the follow-on Humvee, and this guy ran up to the vehicle with everything firing off all around. He didn't know if he had people shooting at him or if it was just what was happening in the vehicle. Climbed in the vehicle, pulled him out to safety. And you know, I know there have been numerous occasions of heroism that have happened, of these guys helping each other and protecting each other, but that was one that happened real close to me. One of the things that was really disturbing was we'd go through some of these schools and you would see these murals painted on the walls. And they were the most bizarre, hateful, militant murals. And this was an elementary school. I mean, you would have these murals of these little kids with a flower, you know, running and playing and just happy-faced children. And then on the next wall, you would have this two-headed snake. One had the Israeli flag and one had the American flag. And then there was an Iraqi soldier cutting its head off. Or there was a poster that was really disturbing that some of the soldiers found of a gigantic human being made out of a building with a military helmet on and an American flag, and there were a bunch of planes flying through its middle. And it was very obvious that that was a reference to the World Trade Center attack. And it was a poster basically glorifying those attacks. Boy, you talk about being incensed. The soldiers who found that were angry all over again. One of the most curious things that happened was the alleged chemical weapons find on the Euphrates River.
A paramilitary training facility was found to contain hundreds of gas masks, antidotes to chemical weapons and instructions for their use, weapons, and powder-filled grenades.